The stale scent of turpentine and cheap coffee was the perfume of Amelia's life. Her studio, a cramped attic space overlooking a perpetually gray cityscape, was a testament to her unwavering passion, if not her financial solvency. Canvases stacked precariously, each a vibrant splash of color against the muted reality of her existence, whispered stories of dreams deferred. Rent was overdue, the grocery budget was a carefully calculated tightrope walk, and the gnawing anxiety of what next was her constant companion. She'd submitted her work to countless galleries, each rejection a tiny chip at her resolve, yet the flicker of hope, stubborn and incandescent, refused to be extinguished. It was on one such overcast Tuesday, amidst the familiar anxieties, that the phone rang, a jarring intrusion into the quiet hum of her creative struggle. The voice on the other end, crisp and formal, spoke of a name Amelia barely recognized, a distant relative, a great-aunt twice removed, who had apparently passed away, leaving behind a rather substantial inheritance. The word inheritance felt alien, a concept belonging to stories she'd only read or seen on screen. A gallery, they said. A real, established gallery in the heart of the city, a place she'd only ever dared to peer into, a temple of art she'd long considered beyond her reach. The unexpectedness of it all was disorienting, a sudden gust of wind scattering the dust of her ordinary life, revealing a path she never knew existed. Across town, in a grimy workshop filled with the scent of oil and worn metal, Leo wrestled with a stubborn engine. His hands, perpetually stained with grease, were skilled, his ability to coax life back into ailing machines a quiet legend among his few loyal customers. But skill didn't pay bills. His small garage, a relic of a bygone era, was teetering on the brink, much like his own life. He lived paycheck to paycheck, his savings a distant memory, his future as uncertain as the next unpredictable breakdown. The weight of responsibility, a silent burden he carried with weary resignation, pressed down on him daily. He'd always been the dependable one, the one who fixed things, but lately, he felt like he was the one most in need of repair. Then came the lawyer's letter, delivered with a gravity that belied its plain envelope. A Mrs. Eleanor Vance, a name he knew only from hushed family conversations, a wealthy, reclusive widow his late mother had occasionally mentioned. He was to be the executor of her estate, a responsibility that felt as monumental as the engines he worked on. It was an inheritance of a different sort, not of wealth directly, but of stewardship, of trust, and the daunting task of managing the affairs of a woman he'd never met, a woman whose life, he was told, was shrouded in a peculiar sort of mystery. Miles away, under the harsh glare of streetlights, Marco stirred his meager meal in a discarded can. The city's unforgiving pavement was his mattress, the cacophony of urban life his lullaby. He was a ghost in the machine of the city, a chef by trade, a master of flavors and aromas, now reduced to scavenging for sustenance. His past was a blur of missed opportunities and bad decisions, a culinary talent buried beneath layers of hardship and homelessness. He'd once dreamed of his own kitchen, a place where he could create, where the joy of food could bring people together, but those dreams had long since faded, replaced by the primal need for survival. It was a bitter, lonely existence, punctuated by fleeting acts of kindness from strangers. One such stranger, the owner of a small, unassuming diner, a place Marco had often passed, offered him more than just a plate of food. A job, he'd said, a chance to get back on his feet, to trade the cold asphalt for the warmth of a kitchen. It felt like a miracle, an unexpected hand reaching out from the abyss, a lifeline thrown to a drowning man, a possibility of redemption he'd long since stopped believing in. I'm no historian, no celebrated author. I'm just someone who happened to be in the right, or perhaps wrong, place at the right time. I lived history up close, felt it on my skin. And now, I want to tell you how it was, no embellishments, no sugarcoating. The raw truth, just as I saw and experienced it. Maybe you'll relate, maybe you won't. But I promise to be honest, to open my heart and show you the scars this experience left on me. Because, in the end, history is made of people like us, with fears, dreams, and the courage to keep going, even when everything seems lost. And if my story can inspire you, even a little, then it was worth it. The diner owner, a man whose name I barely registered in my days, a man with hands calloused from years of work and eyes that held a weariness I understood all too well, didn't ask many questions. He saw the desperation etched on my face, the hollow echo in my eyes, and that was enough. He simply pointed to a spot behind the counter, a broom leaning against the wall, and muttered, "Start there. We'll talk details later." It wasn't a grand gesture, no dramatic pronouncements of second chances. It was a quiet offer of work, of a purpose, a small anchor thrown into the churning sea of my uncertainty. The air inside the diner was thick with the aroma of frying bacon and strong coffee, a comforting, grounding scent that felt alien yet welcome. The clatter of plates, the murmur of quiet conversations, the gentle hiss of the grill, these were the sounds of a world I had almost forgotten existed, a world of routine and normalcy that seemed impossibly distant from the chaos I had endured. I picked up the broom, its bristles rough against my trembling hands, and began to sweep. Each stroke felt like a small act of reclamation, pushing away the dust of despair and making space for something new. The owner, whose name, I finally learned, was Sal, would occasionally glance my way, his expression unreadable. He was a man of few words, his actions speaking louder than any lengthy speech. He showed me the ropes, the rhythm of the kitchen, the quiet satisfaction of serving a warm meal to someone who needed it. It was a stark contrast to the urgency and danger that had defined my recent past. Here, the stakes were different. A perfectly cooked egg, a timely refill of coffee, a friendly smile, these were the small victories that mattered now. As the days bled into weeks, a semblance of routine began to settle. The gnawing hunger in my stomach, both physical and emotional, started to recede. The constant vigilance that had become second nature began to soften, replaced by the simple demands of the job. The diner became more than just a workplace, it became a sanctuary. It was a place where the past could be temporarily silenced, where the present offered a fragile but persistent hope. I was a ghost in my own life for so long, and now, for the first time in what felt like an eternity, I was beginning to feel present. The clatter of plates, the hiss of the grill, the low murmur of conversations, these sounds, once a background hum, now formed the soundtrack to my tentative peace. I still scanned the room, a deeply ingrained habit, but the sharp edge of anxiety had dulled. My movements became less furtive, more purposeful. I learned the regulars, their usual orders, the subtle shifts in their moods. There was Mrs. Gable, who always ordered her coffee black and her eggs over easy, and young Timmy, who'd tap his foot impatiently for his chocolate chip pancakes. They were anchors in the present, small, ordinary connections that were slowly rebuilding the foundation I thought was lost forever. The owner, a stout woman named Agnes with a laugh that could cut through the diner's noise, was a force of nature. She didn't pry, didn't ask questions about where I came from or why I looked like I carried the weight of the world. She simply offered a clean apron, a warm kitchen, and a steady paycheck. It was a quiet trust, a silent acknowledgement of a shared humanity that asked for nothing more than diligence and a willingness to show up. This unassuming acceptance was more potent than any grand gesture, allowing me to shed some of the layers of self-protection I had so meticulously constructed. One particularly slow Tuesday afternoon, while wiping down the counter, I caught my reflection in the polished chrome of the coffee machine. It was the first time I'd really looked at myself in weeks. The hollows under my eyes were still there, but the stark terror had receded. There was a faint spark, a flicker of something that hadn't been visible before, a hint of resilience. It was a fragile thing, easily extinguished, but it was there. The diner, with its greasy spoons and worn linoleum, had become an unlikely crucible for a slow, quiet rebirth, a place where the past was a whisper and the future, though uncertain, felt a little less like an abyss and a little more like an open road. The hum of the fluorescent lights above the counter had always been a background noise, a constant, unthinking presence. But now, it seemed to carry a new weight, a subtle rhythm that pulsed with the conversations happening around me. I'd always been so focused on the immediate, on the next bill, the next shift, the next lukewarm cup of coffee that would get me through another day. The world beyond the diner's greasy windows felt distant, a broadcast I wasn't tuned into. Yet, something was shifting. It wasn't a sudden revelation, but a slow dawning, like the gradual brightening of the sky on a cloudy morning. People who used to talk about sports scores or the latest gossip were now dissecting political rallies, debating economic forecasts, and sharing their anxieties about the changing social landscape. I, who had cultivated a comfortable detachment from such matters, found myself leaning in, a nascent curiosity stirring within me. It was as if a fog had begun to lift, revealing a tapestry of interconnected lives and events that I was, to my surprise, a part of. This realization was both unsettling and strangely empowering. My individual struggles, which had felt so all-consuming, now seemed to exist within a larger narrative. The sheer scale of it all was overwhelming at first, the news reports of global events, the local community initiatives, the quiet acts of kindness or protest rippling through the city. I started to understand that the small choices I made, the way I treated others, even the very act of showing up and contributing in my own small way, had a ripple effect. It was a profound shift, from a feeling of being a solitary adrift to a sense of belonging to a vast, interconnected network. The weight of that responsibility was heavy, not in a crushing way, but in a way that demanded attention, that called for participation. It meant looking beyond my own immediate concerns and acknowledging the world that existed outside my personal bubble. It meant recognizing that the future wasn't something that simply happened to people, but something that was actively built, day by day, by the collective efforts of everyone. And in that dawning comprehension, I found a new purpose, a quiet resolve to be a more conscious participant in the unfolding story of our shared world. And then, it happened. The event that changed everything. I was there, in the thick of it, watching it all unfold before my eyes. I participated, I observed, I felt it in my bones. I felt fear, I felt anger, I felt hope. I cried, I smiled, I fought. And I saw people I had never met before unite for a common cause. I saw the strength of unity, the beauty of solidarity, the importance of fighting for what we believe in. And I realized that even in the midst of chaos, we can find the light. The initial shock, the disorienting wave of the unexpected, began to subside, replaced by a primal instinct to understand, to adapt. It wasn't just about surviving anymore, it was about comprehending the magnitude of the shift and finding my place within it. The air buzzed with a strange mixture of uncertainty and a nascent determination. Faces I'd only glimpsed in passing now held expressions of shared struggle and an unspoken camaraderie. We were all caught in the same tide, buffeted by the same winds of change, and in that shared vulnerability, something began to form, a quiet understanding that we were no longer islands, but interconnected parts of a larger whole. The days that followed were a blur of activity, of improvising and collaborating. Tasks that seemed insurmountable individually were tackled with a collective spirit. We learned to rely on each other, to share what little we had, and to offer a helping hand without being asked. The sounds of the city, once a cacophony of everyday life, were now punctuated by a different kind of noise, the murmur of concerned voices, the rustle of shared resources, the determined rhythm of people working together towards a shared objective. It was a raw, unvarnished demonstration of human resilience. During those intense periods, I found myself drawn into conversations with strangers who quickly became allies. We spoke of our fears, of our hopes for what lay ahead, and of the small victories we managed to achieve each day. These exchanges, often brief and fueled by necessity, carried a weight far beyond their words. They were testaments to our shared humanity, bridges built across the chasms of apprehension. I witnessed acts of kindness, small gestures of comfort that seemed to ripple outward, bolstering spirits and reinforcing the belief that even in the darkest hours, goodness could still prevail. There were moments of doubt, of course. Times when the sheer scale of what we faced threatened to overwhelm us. But then I would see someone else pushing forward, offering a word of encouragement, or simply continuing their efforts with unwavering resolve, and it would rekindle my own faltering spirit. It was a constant ebb and flow of emotion, a testament to the complex tapestry of human experience under pressure. Yet, through it all, a thread of connection, a sense of shared purpose, held us together, proving that even when faced with the unknown, the instinct to build, to care, and to persevere can guide us through. The quiet that settled over the land was a stark contrast to the ferocity of the storm, a palpable stillness that felt both like a reprieve and a stark reminder of what had been lost. The wind, once a howling beast, now whispered through the skeletal remains of what were once homes, a mournful sight carrying the scent of damp earth and resilience. It was in this hushed aftermath that the true depth of the devastation began to reveal itself, not just in the splintered wood and scattered debris, but in the hollowed eyes and the slumped shoulders of those who had survived. Yet, amidst the wreckage, a new kind of landscape was emerging. It was a landscape sculpted by determination. Neighbors, who had perhaps only exchanged polite nods before, now worked side by side, their hands calloused and their faces smudged with dirt, but their spirits alight with a shared mission. They salvaged what they could, piecing together fragments of their former lives, their efforts a silent testament to the unyielding human spirit. It wasn't about erasing the past, but about building anew from its foundations, however broken they might seem. Small acts of kindness, a shared meal offered from scarce provisions, a comforting hand on a trembling shoulder, became the currency of this transformed world. Children, their laughter a fragile melody in the somber air, began to play amidst the ruins, their innocence a vibrant splash of color against a muted backdrop. They found new games in the rubble, turning fallen branches into forts and discarded tarps into makeshift shelters, their boundless energy a powerful antidote to the despair that threatened to engulf the adults. They were, in their own way, already rebuilding, their natural inclination to create and explore a powerful lesson in optimism. Their resilience was a mirror, reflecting back the possibility of joy even in the most challenging circumstances. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the whispers of hope began to grow louder than the echoes of loss. It was a quiet, persistent hum, a melody played on the strings of shared experience and unwavering resolve. This was the dawn of a new era, not one of forgetting, but of remembering and moving forward, carrying the lessons learned in the crucible of the storm into the brighter, albeit changed, days ahead. The storms of life, it seemed, were not meant to break us, but to refine us, to reveal the strength that lay dormant within, waiting for the right moment to bloom. Looking back, I can see now that everything happened for a reason. The experiences I've navigated have etched valuable lessons into my very being, shaping the person I stand as today. I've come to cherish the quiet moments, the often overlooked joys that sprinkle life with magic. Relationships, I've learned, are not mere acquaintances but anchors, vital connections that provide solace and strength. I've discovered the profound importance of standing firm for my convictions, of championing what I believe to be right, even when the path is arduous. Life, I now understand with a depth I couldn't have comprehended before, is an extraordinary gift. This realization fuels a desire to embrace each sunrise, each breath, with a wholeheartedness that seeks to extract every ounce of meaning and joy. It's a perspective shift, a conscious decision to engage with the world not as a passive observer, but as an active participant, fully present in the unfolding narrative. The understanding that every interaction, every challenge, every triumph, contributes to a richer tapestry of existence has become a guiding principle. The power of love, in its myriad forms, has revealed itself to be an unparalleled force. It's the quiet understanding between loved ones, the fierce protection of family, the compassion extended to strangers, and even the self-love that allows for resilience. This pervasive energy, I've come to believe, possesses the capacity to heal, to inspire, and to transcend the limitations we often impose upon ourselves and each other. It's the underlying current that connects us all, a silent acknowledgement of our shared humanity. Ultimately, what resonates most profoundly is the indelible mark we leave behind. It's not about accumulating possessions or accolades, but about the positive contributions we make, the kindness we extend, and the hope we foster in the lives of others. This understanding has shifted my focus from personal gain to collective well-being, encouraging me to consider the ripple effect of my actions and to strive for a legacy built on generosity and genuine connection. The quiet hum of purpose now feels louder, more resonant, a constant reminder of the enduring significance of leaving the world a little brighter than I found it. The weight of past decisions, once a source of heavy regret, had transformed into a gentle guide. Each stumble, each misstep, had etched its lesson onto my soul, refining my perspective and fortifying my resolve. The future, once a nebulous expanse of anxieties, now appeared as a landscape of infinite possibilities, waiting to be shaped by intention and action. I understood, with a clarity that felt both ancient and utterly new, that the grandest achievements are rarely solitary victories. They are woven from threads of shared effort, mutual respect, and a collective yearning for something greater than ourselves. This profound realization didn't arrive with a thunderclap but rather settled in like a soft dawn, gradually illuminating the path ahead. It was in the quiet moments, observing the intricate dance of human connection, that the true essence of a life well lived began to reveal itself. I saw how a simple act of kindness, a word of encouragement offered at just the right time, could blossom into profound change for another. It was a humbling, yet incredibly empowering, understanding. The grand design of existence seemed less about conquering personal ambitions and more about contributing to the intricate tapestry of humanity, each thread, no matter how small, vital to the overall beauty. The fear of the unknown, a constant companion for so long, began to recede, replaced by a quiet confidence. This wasn't arrogance, but a deep-seated belief in the inherent resilience of the human spirit, a resilience I had witnessed and, in my own way, embodied. I learned that challenges, though daunting, are often the very crucibles where our greatest strengths are forged. They are not impediments to be avoided, but opportunities to discover capabilities we never knew we possessed. The narrative of my life was no longer a solitary quest for personal fulfillment, but a chapter in a much larger, unfolding story, where my contributions, however modest, played a meaningful part in the collective journey. And above all, I learned that history repeats itself. That the mistakes of the past can teach us to build a better future. That we need to know our history so as not to repeat the same errors. That we need to honor the memory of those who fought for a more just and egalitarian world. And that we need to keep fighting, so that future generations can live in a better world. This profound understanding has shifted my perspective from a singular focus on my own trajectory to a broader appreciation of the interconnectedness of human experience. The echoes of past struggles and triumphs resonate in the present, serving as both cautionary tales and beacons of hope. It's a humbling realization to see how individual actions, often seemingly small at the time, can ripple through generations, shaping the landscape for those who come after. The weight of this knowledge is not a burden, but rather a powerful motivator, urging me to be more mindful of the impact of my choices. The stories I've encountered, whether through personal accounts, historical records, or the wisdom passed down through communities, consistently underscore the cyclical nature of human endeavors. The pursuit of fairness, the resistance against oppression, and the yearning for progress are recurring themes that bind us across time. Recognizing these patterns isn't about succumbing to fatalism, it's about empowering ourselves with the foresight to navigate similar challenges with greater wisdom. It's about actively seeking out the lessons embedded within every setback and every victory. This ongoing learning process has instilled in me a deep sense of responsibility to contribute positively to the collective narrative. It's no longer enough to simply exist, there's a calling to participate, to advocate, and to support the ongoing quest for a world where justice and equality are not abstract ideals, but lived realities for all. The struggles of those who paved the way demand not just remembrance, but active engagement. Their legacy is a call to action, a testament to the enduring power of perseverance and the unwavering belief in a brighter tomorrow. The path forward is not always clear, and the challenges ahead will undoubtedly test our resolve. Yet, armed with the lessons of history and the knowledge that we are part of something larger than ourselves, we can approach these obstacles with a renewed sense of purpose. The commitment to continuous learning, to empathetic understanding, and to unwavering dedication to a better future for all generations becomes not just a personal philosophy, but a vital imperative. Above all, I learned that history repeats itself. That the mistakes of the past can teach us to build a better future. That we need to know our history so we don't repeat the same errors. That we must honor the memory of those who fought for a more just and egalitarian world. And that we must continue to fight so that future generations can live in a better world. This profound realization wasn't a sudden epiphany, but a slow, steady accumulation of understanding, much like a river carving its path through stone. It came from observing the subtle echoes of past struggles in the present, from recognizing patterns of behavior that, though cloaked in new circumstances, held the same core motivations. It meant looking beyond the immediate gratification and understanding the long-term consequences of our actions, both as individuals and as a collective. The tapestry of human experience, woven with threads of both triumph and tragedy, offers an invaluable guide, a map to navigate the complexities of existence. To ignore its lessons is to wander blindly into the same pitfalls that have ensnared countless others before us. The weight of this knowledge carries with it a responsibility. It's a call to action, urging us not to be passive observers of a repeating cycle, but active participants in breaking it. This involves a conscious effort to scrutinize our own beliefs and biases, to question established norms, and to actively seek out perspectives that challenge our own. It's about fostering a culture of critical thinking, where the easy answers are met with healthy skepticism, and where the pursuit of truth takes precedence over comfortable illusions. The courage to confront uncomfortable truths is the first step towards genuine progress, and the willingness to learn from those who have walked this path before us is essential. Furthermore, embracing this understanding means actively engaging with the stories of those who have striven for a more equitable existence. Their sacrifices, their resilience, and their unwavering hope are beacons that illuminate our way forward. To honor their memory is not merely to recall their deeds, but to embody their spirit of perseverance and to carry their torch into the future. It's about ensuring that their struggles were not in vain, and that the seeds of justice they planted continue to grow and flourish. This collective memory serves as a powerful reminder of what is possible when individuals commit themselves to a cause greater than themselves. The journey of progress is not a destination, but a continuous process. It requires constant vigilance, a willingness to adapt, and an enduring commitment to the ideals of fairness and compassion. The lessons gleaned from the past are not meant to be stored away as historical curiosities, but to be actively applied in the present. Each generation faces its own unique set of challenges, but the underlying principles of building a better society remain constant. By drawing strength from the wisdom of those who came before, and by fostering a spirit of collective endeavor, we can indeed shape a future that is brighter and more promising for all who will follow. That transformative experience, etched into my very being, has irrevocably shaped me. It forged my character, tempered my spirit, and sculpted me into the person standing here today. If I could impart a single piece of wisdom, it would be this: live with unbridled intensity, love without reservation, and fight with unwavering bravery. Do not shy away from mistakes, from stumbles, from the inevitable hurts along the way. Instead, extract the lessons from your missteps, rise with a renewed strength, and press forward with resolute courage. And above all, never doubt your own power. You possess the capacity to alter the world. Believe in yourself. The echoes of past endeavors, the whispers of those who navigated uncharted territories before us, serve not as mere historical footnotes but as guiding constellations. Each era presents its distinct landscape of trials, yet the fundamental truths of constructing a more equitable and prosperous existence remain steadfast. By drawing fortitude from the accumulated wisdom of our predecessors, and by cultivating a spirit of shared purpose, we hold the potent ability to sculpt a future that gleams with promise, not just for ourselves, but for every soul that will grace this earth after us. The foundation has been laid, the blueprints are visible, and the collective spirit is the mortar that will bind it all together. It is in this ongoing narrative, this tapestry woven with threads of experience and aspiration, that we find our purpose. The lessons learned, the resilience discovered, the love shared, these are not meant to be confined to a single chapter. They are the enduring elements that fuel our present actions and illuminate our path forward. The challenges ahead may seem daunting, the road uncertain, but within us lies the inherent strength to confront them, to adapt, and to emerge not just unscathed, but profoundly enriched. The continuous unfolding of life demands this active engagement, this willingness to learn, to grow, and to contribute. To truly embody the lessons of the past is to engage with the present with open eyes and a courageous heart. It's about recognizing that the struggles and triumphs of those who came before are not just stories, but blueprints for resilience and innovation. They offer us the insight that even in the darkest of times, hope can be cultivated, and progress is always within reach. The cumulative wisdom of humanity is a vast reservoir, and our responsibility is to draw from it, to build upon it, and to ensure that the waters of knowledge and compassion continue to flow for generations to come. This continuous act of learning and applying is the essence of our ongoing journey. The future is not a predetermined destination but a malleable creation, shaped by the choices we make today. Each act of kindness, each bold step taken, each moment of genuine connection contributes to the grand design. The potential for positive change is immense, residing not in some distant ideal, but in the everyday decisions we make, the values we uphold, and the unwavering belief in our shared humanity. Let the legacy of our efforts be one of progress, of understanding, and of a world where every individual has the opportunity to thrive. This is the enduring promise we carry forward.